After George W. Bush is inaugurated as the 43rd President of the United States of America, fear and devastation loom across the nation following the tragedy of 9/11 in 2001. Two hijacked jetliners ran the Twin Towers of the World Trade Center, causing thousands of innocent Americans to die, and serving to be what is now known as one of the worst attacks on the U.S. A third hijacked plane flew into the Pentagon, and a fourth one crashed into rural Pennsylvania. The United States and Great Britain launched air attacks against Afghanistan after the Taliban refused to hand over Osama bin Laden, the suspect behind these terrorist attacks. The world's first ever iPod debuts in stores, as well as the original Xbox gaming system. This year's top music and movie charts include Alicia Keys' Fallen, Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, Shrek, and The Fast and the Furious. 2001 also sees the nation's first Segway created by Dean Kamen.
In 2002, Bush labels Iran, Iraq, and North Korea as the axis of evil, and declares that the U.S. will wage war against states that develop weapons of mass destruction. The Beltway sniper shootings also took place that year. These shootings were a series of murders and robberies that took place across the nation in Maryland, Virginia, and Washington, D.C., inside the span of 3 weeks. Camera phones were introduced this year, as well as the premiere of American Idol, Men in Black 2, and My Big Fat Greek Wedding.
The next year, 2003, a space shuttle by the name of Columbia explodes upon re-entry into the Earth's atmosphere, killing all 7 astronauts aboard. Later, the U.S. invades Iraq, and President Bush declares mission accomplished on the USS Lincoln. The UGBRU trend flourished throughout this year, and 2003's blockbusters include Pirates of the Caribbean, The Curse of the Black Pearl, and Two Beer by the Dozen.
By the end of 2004, 4 hurricanes have devastated Florida and other states in the South. In addition, politicians around the country lose a close friend. Ronald Reagan dies of Alzheimer's disease in June. But on a more positive note, Facebook is launched. DirecTV HD DVRs are now being sold in stores across the country.
In 2005, Americans are again guided by Bush with his re-election. Americans also learn how to use YouTube. However, we bid a mournful farewell to Pope John Paul II this year, and we are devastated by Hurricane Katrina in Florida. Also this year was the Hollaback Girl craze and America's favorite Shark Tales. A mudslide occurs in La Conchita, California, killing 10 people, injuring many more, and closing the Highway 101, the main coastal corridor between San Francisco and Los Angeles, for 10 days. Condoleezza Rice is sworn in as U.S. Secretary of State, becoming the first African-American woman to hold the post.
A few months after test-firing missiles, North Korea announces it has officially tested its first nuclear weapon. The United Nations is not happy. If the U.S. makes a concession to some degree, we will also make a concession to some degree, whether it be bilateral talks or six-party talks, said Kim Jong-un II in 2006. The U.S., now concerned with bombing threats against the Sears Tower, suffers a terrifying flashback from that fateful day in 2001. Pluto is also demoted to a dwarf planet this year. Steve Irwin dies, creating a major sudden disruption to the natural sciences world. However, more social media is launched. Twitter is here. The Week comes out this year, as well as Rihanna's SOS and Night at the Museum.
Many advancements happened in 2007. The first iPhone comes out, and 2 scientists, one from Wisconsin and another from Japan, found a way to bypass the need for an embryo in their stem cell therapy. This discovery is a huge deciding factor in the ethical debate surrounding the research. On the downside, New Century declares bankruptcy, which then leads to America's recession. To increase U.S. economic decline, the WGA went on strike and demanded far better residuals, protesting for more than 14 weeks and costing about $1.5 million. Also this year is the Virginia Tech Massacre. This attack is the single deadliest shooting incident by a lone gunman in U.S. history, and one of the deadliest by a single gunman worldwide. It resulted in 32 murdered, 17 injured, and 1 dead by suicide, the senior who committed this heinous crime.
In 2008, after months of grueling campaigns and primary races, Barack Obama and John McCain are chosen as presidential nominees for the Democratic and Republican parties. President Obama then becomes the first African American ever to be voted into office. Suddenly, after months of slow unraveling, the economy crashes. The Amazon Kindle comes out this year.
In 2009, Obama signs executive orders closing all secret prisons and detention camps run by the CIA and bans all coercive interrogation methods. In addition, the alleged underwear bomber, Umar Farouk Abdul Muttalib, told officials he had been directed by the terrorist group Al-Qaeda. 2009 was the year of controller-free gaming, LED lights, and the movie Up. Also this year, the World Health Organization declares the H1N1 influenza strain, commonly referred to as swine flu, as a global pandemic. Michael Jackson dies under strange circumstances and brings worldwide outpouring of grief. The U.S. Airways Flight 1549 makes an emergency landing into the Hudson River shortly after takeoff from LaGuardia Airport in New York City. All passengers and crew members survived.
In 2010, an explosion and fire on the Deepwater Horizon oil rig in the Gulf of Mexico sends millions of gallons of oil into the sea. In this year, Senate votes 65 to 31 in repealing the Don't Ask, Don't Tell Clinton-era policy that forbids openly gay men and women from serving in the U.S. military. Bans on texting while driving also start this year. This is also the year of the devastating earthquake in Haiti and Obama's declaration of America's withdrawal of troops. Also in 2010 was the creation of the world's first truly synthetic organism, 3D televisions, commercially available jetpacks, and the iPad.
In 2011, Osama bin Laden was found and killed. Republicans demand to restrict financing Planned Parenthood and other organizations that contain abortion clinics. In the science world, the first stem cell generation is tested. An earthquake measuring 9.0 in magnitude strikes 80 miles east of Sendai, Japan, triggering a tsunami killing thousands of people. This event also triggered the second largest nuclear accident in history and one of only 2 events to be classified as a level 7 on the International Nuclear Events Scale.
In 2012, the Pentagon announces that women will be permanently assigned to battalions. Hurricane Sandy ends in a death toll of 132 people and $82 billion in damage. Also during this year, President Obama was re-elected, narrowly defeating Republican Mitt Romney. In addition, Adam Lanza, age 20, forces his way into Sandy Hook Elementary in Newtown, Connecticut, killing 26 people, 20 of whom were children between the ages of 6 and 7. Lanza then took his own life inside the school building. 2012 brought the release of Microsoft Surface, Windows 8, and car crash avoidance advancements.
2013 has taken a turn for the worse with a series of fatal bomb explosions near the Boston Marathon finish line. Also on the negative side for this year, Congress fails to agree on a budget and pass a spending bill causing the government to shut down. And it keeps getting worse for American citizens after the recession, when the National Security Agency is using a system called PRISM to spy on web activities like emails and web searches. With the invention of the Argus 2 spectacles, glasses that can give partial sight to the blind, new innovations are put into place.
In 2014, gay marriage becomes legal in 18 states and marijuana is legalized in 4. Last year, 17-year-old Malala from Pakistan becomes the youngest Nobel Peace Prize winner in history. The World Trade Center is reopened 13 years later. And many advancements in technology happen this year, such as the new iPhone with impossibly large screens, fingerprint access, and voice activation, as well as Apple's newest innovation, the Apple Watch.
Also this year was the shooting of Michael Brown in Ferguson, Missouri, which caused a national uproar. So far in 2015, America has dealt with numerous ISIS slaughters and terrorist activities. Hillary Clinton has announced she'll be running for president in the upcoming election. More riots due to suspicious police brutality have popped up in Baltimore, Maryland after the untimely death of 25-year-old African-American Freddie Gray. Just last week, 7 deaths and over 200 injuries resulted after an Amtrak train was derailed, and as of May 15th, Dzhokhar Zanab, the suspect behind the 2013 Boston Marathon bombing incident, has been sentenced to death.